We're learning new details about technology which could prevent another plane from suffering the same mysterious fate that Flight 370 suffered from. Our Brian Todd is here. His team is uncovering some documentation on this new cutting-edge program. Brian, what are you learning?
Wolf, we found documents for a patent that Boeing applied for 10 years ago. It's for a system that could enable a plane to be flown by remote control from the ground in an emergency. The system hasn't been deployed. One of our experts says if it had, this Malaysia Airlines incident may well have turned out very differently.
A lost signal, a vanished plane, and on the ground, a feeling of complete helplessness. But an idea has circulated to put autopilot on passenger planes on remote control in stressful situations. In 2004, Boeing applied for a patent for a system referred to as uninterruptible autopilot.
The ground controller could now take control away from the pilots so that they wouldn't have control over the throttles, over the yoke, over the rudder pedals, and now this would be handled by the ground. So everything now that the pilots would try to do would be inconsequential.
With this idea, pilots could flick a switch when under stress. Sensors in the cockpit could go off, or sensors on the cockpit door could activate the ground autopilot if a certain amount of force was used against the cockpit door. Then ground operators could take control of the plane using radio or satellite signals and steer it to a predetermined airport. They'd be flying it almost like a drone. If Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was hijacked, or if a member of the crew purposely did something to alter the path, could this have saved that plane?
If, in fact, they determined that it was a problem, and they try to get in touch with the pilot and the co-pilot and they couldn't, then if that system were in place, it seems as though the ground controller could then have landed this aircraft.
Right now, autopilot systems are manually switched on and off only at the discretion of the pilots in the air, and autopilot cannot land or take off. But this potential solution could also present a new problem.
This wouldn't necessarily be hack-proof, right?
This system wouldn't necessarily be hack-proof, and so terrorists might be able to get into this data stream and force the plane to land or do whatever they wanted it to do.
Has Boeing advanced this idea from 10 years ago? Is the company still testing it out, or has it scrapped the idea entirely? We tried multiple times to get information from Boeing on this project. The company would not speak to us about it. Wolf.
So basically the technology would convert an airliner into a remotely piloted vehicle like a drone.
Absolutely it would. It would be flown like a drone by remote control from the ground, and they say they could even land this plane and possibly activate like an emergency brake system on the runway. It's incredible technology if it can be tested and deployed properly. We don't know anything about it because Boeing's not talking to us about it.
All right, Brian.
All right, everyone, welcome to the What Was That channel. And you saw it right there, Boeing's technology they refused to talk about. It's pretty interesting. I'm just going to make sure some of my parameters are all set. I want to make sure my stream's already all right. Let's see. Yeah, I put the updated scroll across the bottom here. We're going to be doing some investigation into the secretive Boeing uninterruptible autopilot program. We'll also be checking out some 5G Friday, and the health risks of it. Also, some Yellowstone stuff's going on, so should be pretty interesting. I just want to make sure my mic's working. It was not working last time, but it looks as though it is. All right, let me get some stuff going. All right, so now that we got that intro going, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the intro to the show, and we'll get rolling. We'll take another look at that news clip and tear it apart. It has some interesting things in it, or what I consider interesting.
A new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order. New world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be.
right, everyone. That was the intro. Let's see here. I haven't seen it in so long. I took a huge break from YouTube for a little while. It was nice to see that intro. I worked hard on that. I'm not good at editing. It took me like 10 hours when I first did it. All right. But again, we're taking a look at the Boeing, or what I consider the secretive Boeing uninterruptible autopilot program for commercial jets, and I believe for all jets. So they put this patent in. Let me get this set up here. All right. We're going to go to the... All right. It is the Boeing and Honeywell uninterruptible autopilot. Let's see here. The Boeing uninterruptible autopilot is a system designed to take control of a commercial aircraft away from the pilot or flight crew in the event of a hijacking. Only a hijacking. Nothing else. They would never, ever do anything outside of a hijacking. Okay. If implemented, the system would allow the craft to automatically guide itself to landing at a designated airstrip. The uninterruptible autopilot would be activated by pilots and onboard sensors, or remotely via radio or satellite links by government agencies if terrorists attempt to gain control of the flight deck. Okay, so it looks like it can be activated through a couple different ways. 1, by the pilots. 2, onboard sensors. 3, remotely via radio or satellite links by government agencies. All right, so we got a couple different ways it can be activated. All right. With Boeing and Honeywell, they have contributed significantly to the introduction of digital autopilot technology into civilian aviation sector. So that means they've had this on military craft for a long time, because their introduction of digital autopilot technology into civil aviation. Boeing's been having military contracts for a long time, I would assume, so this stuff's probably in all military craft. A patent for the system was awarded to Boeing in 2006. Honeywell has also been developing a system with Airbus, and a prototype has been tested on small aircraft. All right, so this has been out for a little while. All right, so let's I'm gonna play this clip again from CNN, and they talk about it here. Let me make sure the audio works here.
We're learning new details about technology which could prevent another plane from suffering the same mysterious...
I'm going to start it over.
We're learning new details about technology which could prevent another plane from suffering the same mysterious fate that Flight 370 suffered from. Our Brian Todd is here. His team is uncovering some documentation on this new cutting-edge program. Brian, what are you learning?
Wolf, we found documents for a patent that Boeing applied for 10 years ago. It's for a system that could enable a plane to be flown by remote control from the ground in an emergency. The system hasn't been deployed. One of our experts says if it had, this Malaysia Airlines incident may well have turned out very differently.
A lost signal, a vanished plane, and on the ground, a feeling of complete helplessness.
So I have to pause it right here. This guy says a lost signal, I believe it, Flight 370, lost signal. They couldn't find it. Some of the most advanced agencies in the world, I'm sure the CIA looked into this. I don't know if FBI probably has technology, military, any of this stuff. And they couldn't locate a missing plane, right? So it loses signal, but yet they want to implement this Boeing thing that they can fly with a signal. Well, how, if they don't get signals, how is that going to save it if there's no signal to it and you can't track it, is just my question. All right, so that's my first.
But an idea has circulated to put autopilot on passenger planes on remote control in stressful situations. In 2004, Boeing applied for a patent for a system referred to as uninterruptible autopilot.
The ground controller could now take control away from the pilots so that they wouldn't have control over the throttles, over the yoke, over the rudder pedals, and now this would be handled by the ground. So everything now that the pilots would try to do would be inconsequential.
With this idea, pilots could flick a switch when under stress. Sensors in the cockpit could go off, or sensors on the cockpit door could activate the ground autopilot if a certain amount of force was used against the cockpit door. Then ground operators could take control of the plane using radio or satellite signals and steer it to a predetermined airport. They'd be flying it almost like a drone. If Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was hijacked,
they'd fly it almost like a drone. You mean like a drone. You're literally controlling it from outside of the aircraft's main controls.
or if a member of the crew purposely did something to alter the path, could this have saved that plane?
If, in fact, they determined that it was a problem, and they try to get in touch with the pilot and the co-pilot and they couldn't, then if that system were in place, it seems as though the ground controller could then have landed this aircraft.
Right now, autopilot systems are manually switched on and off only at the discretion of the pilots in the air, and autopilot cannot land or take off. But this potential solution could also present a new problem.
This wouldn't necessarily be hack-proof, right?
This system wouldn't necessarily be hack-proof, and so terrorists might be able to get into this data stream and force the plane to land or do whatever they wanted it to do.
Has Boeing advanced this idea from 10 years ago? Is the company still testing it out, or has it scrapped the idea entirely? We tried multiple times to get information from Boeing on this project. The company would not speak to us about it. Wolf.
So basically the technology would convert an airliner into a remotely piloted vehicle like a drone.
Absolutely it would. It would be flown like a drone by remote control from the ground, and they say they could even land this plane and possibly activate like an emergency brake system on the runway. It's incredible technology if it can be tested and deployed properly. We don't know anything about it because Boeing's not talking to us about it.
All right, Brian.
So Boeing's not even talking about this. They want to keep it on the low, you know, because now they can blame it on terrorists, like he said here. It's easily hackable. Oh, it's not easily hackable.
And to land or do whatever they wanted it to do wouldn't necessarily be hack-proof. And so terrorists might be able to get into this data stream.
So it wouldn't be necessarily hack-proof. So now they have a scapegoat. If something happens, if they happen to have, quote-unquote, a terrorist, they can fly the plane into whatever and be like, oh, it got hacked by them. They hacked it. Let's go after them now. Or whatever they want to push their agenda for. That's my reasoning for the secrecy. Easily hack-proof. They can't come up with encryption. I mean, come on. It's kind of crazy. All right, that was one clip from it. I found it pretty interesting where they talked about it here. But let's take a look at some more stuff here. If my internet works. We're having a crazy snowstorm, so I'm just waiting for something to fall on a power line or something. All right, so let's see. Flight control. Boeing's uninterruptible autopilot systems, drones, and remote hijacking. Following the apparent vanishing act of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, many investigators and researchers began to question the likelihood of such an event happening in today's high-tech world. Along the Boeing 777, along with other Boeing models, can in fact be flown remotely through the use of independent embedded software and satellite communication. So they can have communication with it all the time, but lose communication to MH370. It just is, I don't know, it's hard for me to conceive that they lost, out of all planes, they lost this one. And their main backup to save these planes is through the use of communication, which they lost on MH370. I just don't understand. They didn't lose. They know exactly where that plane is. So, it can disallow any pilot or potential hijacker from controlling a plane, as the routed setup uses digital signals that communicate with air traffic control, satellite links, as well as other government entities for the remainder of its flight journey into whatever they want. Whatever they want. Wherever they want those to fly. Or fly, whatever they want them to do. Alright. This is just crazy. How's everyone doing out there? I got some snow going on. I'm just looking out the window. It's pretty nice. I just want to take a minute and thank everyone for tuning into the What Was That channel. If you're watching now, I appreciate it. If you're going to watch the video in the future, I appreciate that too. And if you're just tuning in the background, I'm going to do my best to narrate the pictures or narrate any of this stuff for just the listeners. But if you're tuning in via screen, you get to enjoy all the fruits of live footage and stuff here. So I just want to thank everyone. All right, and I will be using some stuff from They Live today. I feel that that movie depicts a lot of stuff that's happening today. So I'll use little clips throughout the broadcast today from that, just because I feel people are asleep. They're blinded by what's happening. That's why these companies keep these technologies on the low, so nobody knows, and then they can have these events happen. And now we need more TSA, and we need this, when in reality they just flew a plane. You know what I mean? And now they're going to tighten the noose on us a little bit more. Take away our rights, take away our freedoms. Hey, Nicholas. Exactly, yeah. Enjoy the show from the background. I appreciate it. Yep, I'm going to try to take my time and describe whatever we're looking at, if it's pictures, just for the people that are listening, because lately I've been doing a lot of work and I have to listen to my channels, and I appreciate when the talkers or speakers really remember the people that aren't watching. They're just listening, so they narrate a little bit more detailed. So I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate you out there. And anyone else out there that's just listening, I appreciate it. I haven't streamed in a while, so this is like new to me again. I had to find my microphone, so I got my seltzer water ready. Because I have to say, my hat's off to people that stream for hours or even just put out crazy content in an hour. It's difficult. So my round of applause to anyone that streams out there or does any video uploading, any of that stuff. It's tough. You got to make sure your computer's right, or the file's doing this, or it's being used by another source, and it's just endless, you know. So independent journalism is where it's at. So I think it's great, and YouTube better not start slowing my stream down, which they will. All right, so let's take a look. We're taking a look at the Boeing automated. Basically, it's autopilot. They can literally take over their aircraft and fly it to the ground. But the key here is it's being secretive. They're being secretive about it. They applied for the patent in 2006. I'm sorry, they applied for it in 2004. They got the patent in 2006. Who knows if that's true, because they're all buddies in the government. It's a big club, and we're not in it. So they've probably been working on this forever. And let's face it, remote control airplanes have been around forever. All they got to do is just add those little motors to like the yoke and like the throttle and stuff, just a bunch of them. And these people have endless amounts of money, so they can do that. So there's no doubt these remote control aircraft have been around for a while. It's just this new Boeing Honeywell embedded software is just much more high tech. It's very nice. Just want to make sure, get my chat going. Yep, I got it set up. Looks like my audio's good, and I will check. I'll have these checks just to make sure my stream's going, because I've been known to pull cables out or turn volumes down or something on myself. So, all right. So it looks like we're going good here. It is 5G Friday, so we're going to be talking about the 5G and the health problems that are going on. And, you know, is Yellowstone going to erupt in panic? It seems as though there's some stuff going on. We'll check out in a minute. But for right now, I want to take a look at what they call, and this is funny, in this article, they even quotation Vanishing Act, because they know it's a joke. The following apparent vanishing act of Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. They know it's a joke. How do we lose track of an aircraft that large? Like, really? There's no way. There's no way. No way. Not with what Google has coming out, leaking where they can track you. And that's just on a phone. You're talking an aircraft. I don't even know what one of those costs. Multi-million, $300 million for an aircraft like that? And you're telling me it doesn't have equipment in it for tracking. for communication, backups, and this and that. Really? Come on. This is what they're covering. They're covering up for this. They don't want people to know they have this. And you know, they have this trickled right down into your vehicles. I mean, GM has, what is it, OnStar? They'll shut you. If the cops are chasing your Cadillac or your I don't know, any GM car that has OnStar, they'll shut it right down. Lock your doors. You're locked in it. There's trickle down from the same thing. Aircraft to cars. They'll trickle it right down. Let's see. Do they even have commercial for that? I don't even know if they do. I'm going to try to find one. GM OnStar. Yep, right here. Let's check this out.
According to the FBI, over 1 million vehicles are reported stolen every year. That translates into thousands of high-speed chases, which often result in deaths of innocent bystanders, something police officers are acutely aware of.
It's very similar to the use of fatal force.
All right.
First of all, the vehicle that we're
so
driving
here
is and can be a weapon. And when you're
they're going to
driving
sell
a vehicle that's thousands of pounds, and you're moving at the speeds that we go at, it's got the potential not only to do harm to the officer driving it, the suspect we're pursuing, but the innocent citizens that are out there, either pedestrians or in other vehicles.
Now a new
and it's true. I don't want anyone to get hurt on the road.
The need for high-speed chases
Here
and
we
the
go.
devastation they cause.
The way stolen vehicle slowdown works is our subscriber will report their vehicle stolen. We'll contact the police, and we'll actually get the location of the vehicle using the OnStar system and the GPS capabilities that's built into the current technology. When the law enforcement officers have the vehicle in sight, they'll actually be in communication with the OnStar Center, and when they determine it's safe to slow the vehicle down, we'll send a data message wirelessly into the vehicle. It'll actually depower the vehicle in its engine control module and take away the control of the accelerator from the felon.
The acceleration may be cut off, but all other power is maintained in the vehicle.
The power steering works, the power brakes work, everything else about the vehicle allows the felon to control the vehicle to bring it to a safe stop. We've just taken the horsepower out of the equation that would otherwise allow the felon to potentially continue a high-speed pursuit.
The felon. They would never use this on a regular person, ever.
Were enthusiastic.
With the new technology from OnStar, what we realize today is the high-speed pursuit, the vehicle is going to stop. Not because he wants to, but because the technology is going to stop him. Today, there's only 3 ways they stop. He stops on his own, the police stop him, we stop him, or God forbid he strikes someone or something and someone's injured and there's an accident.
General Motors plans to put OnStar's stolen vehicle slowdown technology into nearly 1.7 million of its 2009 model year vehicles. I'm Chris Hansen.
So there you have it. The amount of police chases that they happen. There was just one through my town the other day. They happen every now and then. But because they happen, we now have to have the ability for the government to shut my car down on the road. You give up your freedoms. Okay? You get this. And in 1 second, I'll shut your car down. Imagine trying to escape. Something, God forbid, happens. I bet $20 says they'll never lose communication with your car, and they'll be able to shut it down anywhere. Anywhere, they'll never lose communication to your car to shut it down, but they'll lose communication for the mainstream story of MH370 that they lost communications with it. I bet this has a 100% success rate, but they lose communications for a jet. Something big is with the Boeing patent. I don't know what it is. It just seems it's been in the news again, and just the fact that Boeing wants to keep it secret, but it's made for safety. It's made for safety, so why can't we talk about it? It's pretty disconcerting. So yeah, exactly. A lot of cars have the OnStar. Yep. Yeah, and they'll shut it right down. Now, what's interesting is WikiLeaks released some information about how the CIA assassinates people. And what they do is a lot of the new vehicles have electronic steering, and they can be hacked. Your brakes can be hacked. I believe your transmission can too. Like they can throw it in reverse. But what I was watching was hackers literally turning your steering wheel in the car. So what the CIA will do is just turn a car into your lane or you off a bridge or something. And then just be like, oh, he was impaired or he was on his cell phone. See, you don't want to use your cell phone. So now we're going to put cameras watching you in your car. On top of the fact we can control it, shut it down, lock your doors, and keep you in there. If we feel that you've done something wrong. Which, if we do, we'll just create something where you did something wrong and you'll be locked in your car. So I think this is just a lot of stuff going on. And the Boeing is just going to be... I think it's going to open up a lot of like rabbit holes. Was this used on 9/11? Yeah, sure, they applied for the patent in 2004, but we all know the government has things a lot sooner than we find out about it. Yeah, exactly, Nicholas. They don't want us to control them at all. They want to be in control for everything. You notice how the Uber ran over the person on the bike the other night. Didn't even see him, hit him full bore, boom. Covered up. Nobody talks about it. We don't have to ban driverless cars. It was a driverless car. We allow driverless cars on the road. It just killed someone. No talking about it. No banning driverless cars. No this, no that. It's literally, we're blinded. We're in a lulled sleep, and we just accept what they say. Just like they live. It's, I don't know. It's crazy. Like this. Like this. Just sleep. Don't worry about it. Your government's got it under control. We're here to help. Just go back to sleep. Don't even worry. We're the government. We've got it. So there you have it. See? Just go back to sleep. Don't worry about cars controlling themselves. Don't worry about aircraft controlling themselves. And then the stories popping up where they make ridiculous claims that planes lose communication. Just go back to sleep, everybody. Just go back to sleep. It's absolutely insane. All right, let's take a second and look at the current Yellowstone report that's developing. Oh, I want to make sure there's no audio on this because I don't want to hear it. Okay. All right. Let me get it set. I apologize. I apologize for the unprofessionalism of this channel. It is produced by yours truly. Let's see here. All right. Is the audio good?
Out of Yellowstone Park where the Steamboat Geyser, the world's tallest active geyser, erupted last night for the first time in 3.5 years.
Now, park officials say it happened around 11 p.m. The last time Steamboat erupted was in September 2014.
Park geologists believe this recent activity is part of a series of minor eruptions. Steamboat Geyser can shoot water higher than 300 feet during its major eruptions. Quite a sight.
What will you
So there we have it. The headline, Yellowstone Volcano Eruption. Life or death prep for supervolcano emergency underway. Oh, that sounds great. More than 20 police, fire, and rescue vehicles descended upon the area around Yellowstone supervolcano this week to prepare for what could be a life or death emergency. Is it finally happening? I've been covering Yellowstone, I think, since I started my channel. And they've always said it's going to blow up this week. Gonna blow up this week. It's the magma plume is ready to erupt. It's just crazy. And now we have Yellowstone National Public Affair confirmed that there could be a supervolcano eruption immediately. Oh, I'm sorry, imminently, which means pretty sure that it's going to happen, and that they were putting themselves through their pace so that they were ready for any eventuality. Let's see. Yeah. A model bus crash. Oh, it was just simulated. Yeah, see, nothing's going on. They're just trying to scare it. Keep our eyes over here. Don't worry about what the government's doing. Don't worry. So it was more or less just like a training. But they put these crazy headlines, and again, Yellowstone's not going to do anything. It's just going to be there unless they like make it do something through kinetic energy or something. Let's see. Let me check the chat here. Emperor Salute. I almost got hit head on with car chase. Well, that's crazy. Yeah, they can control it just like a little remote control car. What about the Tesla? Yep, exactly. Exactly. Lull them with the truth. They will either sleep in bliss or rude awakening. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yep. Fear porn. Yeah, it's always fear porn. Nicholas, I literally have been covering this since I started my channel. And I like covering Yellowstone because there's usually always stuff going on, the guys or whatever, but they've been saying this forever. There has been a lot of volcanic activity. I do have to say that, but I can't say that it's more or less than what's happened. I don't live out there, so if people aren't moving away that have lived there all their life because of an increase in volcanic activity, I don't think anything's going to happen. People know what's up. Let's see here. I'm going to play a clip from... I just want to get this ready. I'm going to fit in some clips throughout the show today. I think it's necessary. So here's another one. Enjoy this.
Impulses are being redirected. Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated. They are dismantling the sleeping middle class. More and more people are becoming poor. We are their cattle. We are being bred for slavery.
There you have it. I couldn't have said it better myself. A movie from the 80s, literally taking the words out of my mouth that can be applied today. I just have to play one more part from it again.
Focused only on our own, to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Please understand, they are safe as long.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
With the annihilation of consciousness, we have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain.
Our own gains.
Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. Keep us asleep.
Keep us asleep.
Keep us selfish.
Selfish.
Keep us sedated.
And sedated. Sleep, selfish, and sedated. No, don't worry. That didn't happen. Just go back to sleep. Watch some TV. Here's anything you can get your hands on. Here's Amazon. And then be selfish. You know, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Yes, truth in plain sight. They're literally telling you in a movie from the 80s what's happening or what's going on that can be applied. Fear of vision. Yeah, exactly. Fear live vision. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Insane. That was a good part. I love this movie. If you haven't seen this movie, it is They Live with Rowdy Piper. I really recommend you watching it. And I don't get anything from them, but I am using their clips in my my show, so I appreciate that a lot. Last time I did this, they like really crushed my stream. So that's crazy. So here you have it. What's everyone think of the Boeing Honeywell uninterruptible autopilot? So it cannot be interrupted? I don't get it. But it can be hacked? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's very strange. Very strange. In fact, It is a crazy movie, Nick. Yeah, I saw it when I was really young and I didn't really pay attention to it. And then I started watching it in my 20s and it was funny, like it was good. And then now when I watch it, I'm like, oh my God, what was it? Jeez. I'm like, it's crazy. It's really crazy. It's definitely a fun movie to watch. And it's funny, Rowdy Piper says he says it's a documentary. So let's check this out. This is from a movie, Die Hard 2. What happens in Die Hard 2 is they hijack a airport and they overtake the ground control system and they mess with the GPS, so the planes think they're higher than they actually are. But when they land at 200 feet, the ground's really there, so they smash on the ground. And they're just literally telling you in a movie how systems can be overridden and tricked. So let's take a little quick look here.
Watch this. Give me a flight number. One that's low on fuel.
Windsor 114, transatlantic from London. Fuel tank Strata Martini.
Activate the ILS landing system, but recalibrate sea level. Minus 200 feet.
Jesus. They've reset ground level, minus 200 feet.
Windsor Flight 114, this is Dulles Approach. Do you copy?
Dulles Approach, this is Windsor 114. Where the devil have you been?
Windsor 114, Dulles Approach. We've been right here all along, old buddy. Our systems only came back online just this very second. Windsor 114, you are cleared for ILS approach. Runway 29er. Contact Dulles Tower frequency at the outer marker.
Jesus Christ, he's gonna crash the fucking plane!
Roger, approaching about time. I've got 230 people up here flying on petrol fumes.
Roger 114, understand. Calibrate Dulles altimeter, setting 2.
They'll fly right into the concrete.
9er 2.
Bitch. Why are they listening to him? It's our frequency, why shouldn't they?
Dulles, this is Windsor 114.
Windsor 114, this is Dulles Tower. We have radar contact. Vector right, 02.
Give me your coat.
Stand by.
What are you gonna do? Whatever I...
So they could just cover it up with a story, like inclement weather, pilots couldn't see, you know? So any of these plane crashes are, to me, now suspect, knowing this technology exists and that flight travel is very safe. The maintenance involved in these is incredible. Yes, they're put together with rivets and stuff like that. They're planes. They're supposed to be light. But the maintenance, they're very safe. And knowing that these crashes happen with this technology now raises my suspicion. My suspicion a little bit. I don't know. It's just very crazy. Let's see. Let's see if there's some other stuff. No, I bet they're not going to have a ton on it. You see, other people are talking about it, but there's no really information about the patent from Boeing, which allows the plane to be remotely operated at their discretion, and it cannot be interrupted. Once it's taken over, that's it. They got it. And this raises questions to me about all the other plane crashes, because air traffic is very safe. Air travel is super safe. Like, there's no doubt about it. Let's see. Nick says, Sheeple will always believe what the government does is for good. Blindly believing, yes. Because our country is founded on the fact that we murdered tons of Indians, Native Americans, I apologize, for whatever we want to call them. But the government murdered them, got this land, and these people believe that the government would never, ever, ever, ever hurt anybody, when in fact that's how this land was, like, taken. They hurt people, and they don't believe that they would hurt anybody to continue their control. And it's hard for me to understand that. I don't get it. They accept the fact that they murdered people to get the land, but they don't accept the fact that they would murder people to keep their control in their narrative. I don't know. It's disconcerting for me because it is about people's lives. A lot of these tragedies, a lot of what I call persuasive tactics, because I believe it's just two sides fighting each other in our government. I believe both sides are just two. They're just two management teams, management team 1 and management team 2, and these teams are fighting for positions, CEO positions of Slavery Inc. And it's us. They're fighting for positions of us, and that's what all these this stuff's happening. It's just two teams fighting. One team has this technology, the other team has this technology. They'll take their planes down to get their narrative. They'll do this to get their narrative, and that's just what it's what I feel. And I don't think people want to wake up to the fact that the government will hurt people to get their way, because that's how this country was founded. I don't know. It's just disconcerting that they think that the government would never, ever, 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 ever hurt anybody, because they got it out of their system when they murdered the Native Americans were here. So they don't have any murderous tendencies anymore. They got it all out of their systems back then. So now the government now is super nice, because they have a budget that's so huge and they could feed all the homeless people and children that are starving with a smidgen of the budget they have. And they don't. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. Nothing. It's just crazy. I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but this stuff really does bother me. Yeah, so I appreciate anybody listening out there. If you, let's see here. I just want to make sure my chat is working. I'm going to check my, my stream. It says my health's okay on the stream. All right, cool. All right. Let's take a break from, the Boeing stuff. Let that settle in for a little bit. Set in the back of the mind. We'll put it on the back burner. All right, let's see here. I hate when people say all the people that did that are dead now. Yeah. See, the thing is that's making them do it is they're in control. They're in control of the vehicle. The vehicle's America. They have all these powers. They can do it for this. They can do it for this, national security, whatever they want. They're in control of this vehicle that I'll call America. And they'll do whatever to keep their car, their vehicle. They want this vehicle. And they have the assets to defend it. And they will literally blow you up, drive you off a cliff if you threaten their narrative. I mean, it's just not hard to believe or understand. I don't know. Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. Yep. I wasn't even thinking about it. Yeah, let me see here. There you go. Absolutely. Did it work? Do you have a wrench yet? Let me see. Yeah, it should work now. You should have a wrench. Try that. All right, I'm going to play a small clip from... Oh, absolutely. Empress, yeah. Post a link. We'll take a look at it. while you're getting it ready, I'm going to play a little clip from They Live, and then we'll check out Empresses Lose stuff, and then we'll check out some 5G stuff. All right, so what do we have here? Empress, you lose. It's okay. I just can't share anything. Yep, I'm just saying. Yep, you should have a wrench so you can post any link you need now. All right, so let me play this clip for everyone out there who's listening, watching. Again, this is from They Live. I just take a lot of the scenes pretty serious because they're just interesting. Let's take a listen. Let me get the audio, make sure the audio's good. All right, I'm going to turn my mic down during this clip because I'm notorious for completely interrupting everything, and I will do it. So I'm going to turn my mic down.
Their tongues to deceive. The venom of snakes is under their lips. Their mouths are full of bitterness and curses. And in their paths, nothing but ruin and misery. And the fear of God is not before their eyes. They have taken the hearts and minds of our leaders. They have recruited the rich and the powerful. And they have blinded us to the truth. Our human spirit is corrupted. Why do we worship greed? Because outside the limit of our sight, feeding off us, perched on top of us from birth to death, are our owners. Our owners. They have us. They control us. They are our masters. Wake up. They're all about you, all around you.
There you have it. I literally couldn't have said it better myself for this clip also. I believe this movie is full of gems perched on top of us from birth till death. Man. I mean, wow. Wow. They have us from everything, from electricity, food, water, everything. Everything. I don't know. Just crazy. Yeah, Nick, it's like literally one of my favorite parts. I even wrote it down so I can use it in a speech later on today. My closing statement's going to be that. Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. Again, if you haven't seen They Live, I highly recommend it. It's from the 80s. Grab some popcorn, grab some snacks, watch it if you can find it out there. But let's jump into, I'm going to check out one thing here. Give me 1 second. I apologize to everyone out there. I want to check one thing here.
These are the 7 worst plane crashes.
All right, so we'll check this out. This is 12 minutes long. I'm going to skip through this a little bit. Let's check it out, though. These are some of the worst plane crashes.
Crashes in history. After hearing about these airline incidents, you may reconsider ever stepping on board a plane ever again. Started on October 12th while transporting the Old Christians Club rugby union team, along with members' friends and family from Montevideo, Uruguay, heading for Santiago, Chile for a match. But due to bad weather conditions, the plane landed in Mendoza, Argentina to wait out the storm. It departed again the next day with its 45 passengers to finish its journey, which included flying over the Andes mountain range. Because of the weather, the pilot was unable to fly his plane over the mountains and instead was forced to fly around them. On that particular day, however, the cloud cover was so intense that it caused the pilot to miscalculate.
All right, so this crash, well, I guess, yeah.
Calculate where the plane was in relation to the mountains.
Yep, see?
As a result, the plane crashed into the side of a mountain near Malargüe, Argentina, instantly killing 12 of its passengers upon impact.
Boom. So its sensors, its altimeter couldn't, well, maybe he flew out, I don't know, but it literally is just like from Die Hard 2. The elevation was changed or something like that. The sensors don't work. I don't know. Maybe, I just don't know. I'm not a pilot, so I can't say. It's just crazy. A lot of these crashes, like, I don't know.
Airlines Flight 93 was also hijacked with the intention of flying into the White House. Its passengers, however, were now aware at this point of the other terrorist attacks and attempted to subdue the hijackers. The plane crashed into a field in Stony Creek Township in Pennsylvania, killing all 44 people on board. In addition to the nearly 3,000 lives that were lost that day, it cost the nation more than $3 trillion in damage to property, infrastructure.
And I have heard, this is just through the grapevine, stuff online, through my conspiracies, whatever everyone wants to call it, if you want to call it conspiracy, I don't consider it a bad word, that 70% of the plane crashes, 7 out of 10, if you take 10 plane crashes, 7 of them are intentionally taken down. Our government has someone on there that they don't want, that is a threat, and they take that plane down. 7 out of 10. That's how safe I believe air travel is. And when I saw these numbers, I would say, yep, absolutely, because it's just very, planes are safe. They want to be in the air. It's just how lift works over the wind. Like, it's just crazy.
And the economy. Also, the ensuing war on terror killed over 6,000 military personnel and
here you go, the war on terror. What were the planes hijacked by? Oh, terrorist. I'm not going to say it 150 more times, but that's what they did. Terrorist. And then Boeing here, their autopilot, what are they? Oh, it's in case of terrorists or hijackers. Nothing else. Go back to sleep. We would never do anything else with it, even though air travel is very safe. Planes are designed to stay in the air, and that's what they do. They want to do that. Unless we take control and fly it into a designated target we want to get what we want. Or kill someone. Yeah. No, planes are safe. I don't fly either, but I believe they're safe. They're built really well. Yes, they're riveted together, but it's how they're designed. I have friends that work on them. I've seen them up close. They're fine. Yeah, I will paste this link in my description in the bottom if anybody wants to take a look at it. 7 worst plane crashes in history that call into question the things we're now learning about. Boeing's uninterruptible autopilot program, embedded software into controls, take over throttle, yoke, all controls on the plane from a outside source, ground-based, satellite, another plane, you know, all these different things. Absolutely crazy. I'm going to go ahead and paste this in the description box, so if anyone wants to take a look at it also. I'm going to try to paste some of my... I'm going to list it as 7 plane crashes. All right, there, that is... All right, that's pasted in the box down there. All right. I mean, it's crazy. What how? And then the official, I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse. If anybody wants to I'm going to try to talk about some 5G in a little bit. I have a lot of time, so I can stream for a little while. Let's see here. All right. I just don't understand how the official story for Malaysia MH370 is they lost communications and they have no idea where it went. Yet, to fix the problem, they're going to implement Boeing's uninterruptible autopilot, which works off the fact it needs communications. So how's it going to work when planes don't have communications over certain parts of areas? I feel that this story has a ton of holes in it. And now, with this coming to light more, I see it being brought up a lot, the Boeing embedded software. I feel something's going on with it. Have a lot of these crashes been induced by this? We've had how many military aircraft just this week go down? Sure, accidents happen, absolutely. But how are some of these pilots dying? How come they didn't eject? Were they incapacitated? Were there malfunctions? This stuff is checked, and checked. But yes, accidents happen. what are the coincidences? 3 jets this week, I believe. Military jets. All the pilots are dead. No ejections. Did the ejection seats not work? Were they incapacitated? Top pilots. The best. Taken out. By natural causes or our government. Well, knowing that they can fly any plane because they're rolling it out to civilian, which means they've had it in the military. Is this how they start wars? Control something, do something somewhere else, blame it on somebody else. Now I can go over there. It's pretty crazy. Yep, I agree, Empress. People don't even want to hear it from me, and I feel that I have absolutely inarguable stuff, and they just don't want to believe it. My quote is, "You cannot wake someone who is pretending to be asleep." They know. They just don't want to wake up. They love being asleep. It ruins their world if they wake up. But at the same time, you're possibly holding back the advancement of mankind because you're not waking up, or humankind, because you're not waking up. Yeah, if you still believe the official story of 9/11, you are heavily fluorinated. Exactly. 28 pages of the 9/11 Commission report missing. I remember when, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but seeing we're talking about 9/11, I remember that the steel beams that were removed immediately and taken off and sent on a ship. I remember Mayor Giuliani had hundreds of these all painted black dump trucks that came and picked up the steel, and there's only a couple videos of it out there. I lost my old hard drive, and all my 9/11 photos and stuff is destroyed because of it, so I will have to build up my library again. But it showed back in 2001. Let me see. Do they have these videos? I don't know. They were using GPS. They welded GPS trackers onto this beams to make sure they got to their destinations. Now, what is the importance of having GPS trackers on a beam? Just some metal, some scrap metal, to make sure it gets to where it's going. That's pretty interesting to me. Was it really valuable steel, or did it have indications of foul play on it and they need to get rid of it? I don't know. I just know that they need that steel out of there very quickly, and they needed to make sure it got to where it was going. Exactly. Ignorance is bliss. Yep. Cognitive dissonance. Yeah. Yep. I have what I consider really good arguments for certain things, and I'm wrong sometimes. Don't get me wrong. But there are just some things that are irrefutable. So let's see here. Let's check out, I want to check this out here. Okay. Let's talk about some 5G. I'm just going to close out some of my browsers because browsers eat up my memory on my computer, and I don't want it to glitch or freeze or anything like that. So let's see here. Okay. All right, we're going to take a look at a clip here.
At 5, construction on the giant cell towers needed to make Los Angeles County's emergency communication system work have been halted until radiation concerns are addressed. The county says the radiation would be no worse than what's given off by cordless phones. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda is live in Altadena with both sides of the story. Carlos?
Well, behind me you can see one of the new towers. It's located at the Altadena Sheriff Station, and it's right next to Fire Station 11. But firefighters and residents say this was pushed through without public input, and they worry about their health, and they worry about radiation. Dozens of firefighters came to the Board of Supervisors to let them know they don't want cell towers where they work.
The proximity of the towers and people living next to the towers is of grave concern, but it's a very complex issue as to how those radio waves affect people all the way up to 3 miles away.
The towers are going up at fire stations and sheriff stations, part of a new high-tech communication system to help first responders talk with each other. It's being planned by LA RICS, the Los Angeles Regional Interoperable Communication System.
We are looking at 177 sites. 51 sites are currently in construction, with 8 of them having been completed.
What exactly can happen during a major crisis or natural disaster? We lose cell sites. We lose the ability to communicate when we need it most.
But some firefighters and residents say they're worried about radiation exposure and claim these projects were pushed through without any oversight because federal funding ends on September 1st.
If I don't sue, somebody will. I'm going to protect my babies, 3 babies under the age of 3 under my roof.
You know, it's just we're not sure, like, exactly what's going to happen. Is there cancer, effects?
If I thought that this posed a significant health concern to the firefighters, I would raise that concern to the board.
The Board of Supervisors agreed there's still too many unanswered questions and concerns and decided to stop construction for now at fire stations, and they criticized the planners.
This is stupid. And again, the point how we got this far I don't know if is irresponsible.
And supervisors said they need to figure out if there are any alternatives. They're also going to ask the federal government if there's any way to get an extension so they can still get that federal.
So here you have people that are showing symptoms. They know what's going on. They're speaking about it. And the people in charge don't care. Sure, in these cases, they've halted some construction of these towers. Why? Because they're on people of power's authorities, like land. The police officers don't want it. The firefighters don't want it. They mildly have say. But normal people, we don't have that. We don't have to say that I don't want these cell towers near me, emitting waves that cut right through my body. But the people in charge don't care. They just... They just tell us to go to sleep. Don't worry about the radiation waves cutting right through your body, causing harm. Can't sleep. Don't worry. It's okay. It's safe. It's technology. We're here to help. And that's what you get. So here you have firefighters in California. This is the only place I really see this happening. I don't know if they're only covering it because it's in California or what, but I do have a ton of clips about... here we go. Here you go.
Money. Reporting live from Altadena, I'm Carlos.
Oh. All right, this is the Environmental Health Trust's website. All right, .org. Firefighter unions opposing cell towers. These are just cell towers. These aren't even the 5G cell towers. These are just regular cell towers, and they're just starting to advance them with bigger antennas, and next is going to be the 5G. And here you have it. EnvironmentalHealthTrust.org. Firefighter groups in the United States have long opposed cell towers on their stations. Well, why? It's safe. The government tells me it's safe. They can have them right at the end of my street. Not my street, but other people's. Not only that, but in California, they have been able to be exempt from the forced placement of towers on their stations because of the strong opposition they have due to health concerns from the radiation. Okay, so they get to be exempt from the forced placement of towers on their stations because of the strong opposition they have due to health concerns from the radiation. What about other people? What about the people? At what point will it click to you that they don't care about you? They don't care. That's why these people here get to be exempt. There's a clear difference between these people who get exempt from the forced placement of towers on their stations because of strong opposition they have due to health concerns from the radiation. And then there's you, who doesn't, who gets the tower placed right in your town, right in your park, right in your kid's school, and you take it. It's okay. It's fine. But I don't want the firefighters and police to have it. Nope, 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 nope. They get to. You're justifying the fact that they get to be exempt from this and others have to take it. It's absolutely crazy. People need to wake up. The IAFF opposes the use of fire stations at base stations for towers and antennas of the conduction of cell phone transmission until a study of the highest scientific merit, not just some crap study. Oh, we made a test and you didn't fry in 10 minutes, so it's safe. Yeah, what about like 10 years, 20 years, people living in these houses? Because we all know the scientists that talk about climate change are completely bullshit because they're paid by the government. Everybody knows that. I mean, come on. And integrity on health effects of exposure to low-intensity RF MW radiation is conducted and is proven that such sittings are not hazardous to health of our members. So there's no studies on this, and these people want it. Show us a study that it's safe over long term. These people don't want it in their town. These are just regular cell towers. Open up the manual to your cell phone and read the warnings. It tells you not to put it on your lap. It tells you to keep it a foot away from you. It tells you right in it. But we accept it. It's technology. We need it. I have a cell phone. I'm not saying I don't keep it right next to my bed when I'm sleeping. But what I'm saying is there's a definitive line between us and them. They get to say they don't want them around them, and it halts production. We don't get that luxury. They know it's bad. Firefighters don't want cell towers near their stations. But 50+ federal bills allow cell towers in residential yards. Well, why? Well, that's because they love us. And they care about us. And that's why they let the firefighters not have them, and you have them, because they treat us the same, even though I can clearly see they don't treat us the same. But I'm so blinded, I accept it. It's insane what's happening. And these are just regular cell towers. These aren't even the new 5G stuff. See, the secret with 5G is it doesn't really travel far, and it can't go through things. So thickly wooded areas and buildings and houses are going to stop it. So we need to put one at every corner. Pretty soon you're just going to walk around with an actual satellite on your back with your phone in your hand, so you just have a complete connection all the time. We're just going to be bombarded with radiation all day long, all night. And the key with 5G is we're going to watch a little clip. It's going to explain it pretty well, better than I think I can. It's directional. 5G is directional. They can direct the energy directly at you. Here, oh, perfect. Look at this. I couldn't have said it better myself. If firefighters don't want cell towers near their station, why would you want them near your home? But I'm the asshole for even questioning this. How dare you question the security and safety of a cell tower emitting radiation near you? How dare you? How dare you? What was that? You're awful. And that's why I don't care. I don't care what a lot of people think, because they don't think. They're hurting us in so many ways, and nobody cares. Selfishness. I apologize if I'm just going off on a tangent here. Let me see. Oh, the tower is out. Yeah, they're everywhere. We're moving this year too crazy. Yep, we have no choice, Nicholas. None. And if we go to oppose it, what are we met with? Force. Because we're in charge. This is America. We're in charge, is what my friends tell me. We're in charge. Yeah? Well, go tell them you don't want one of those around. Go protest it. I'll come pick you up in the morning. I'll post your bail. Yeah, exactly. There's phone connection everywhere. There's phone connection on top of Mount Everest now. You can literally get a regular cell phone tower connection on top of Mount Everest. But we need 5G. And they're going to sell 5G because the ever-increasing need for a broader bandwidth. We need broader bandwidth because the ever-increasing amount of cell phone users watching HD, watching... I don't know. Whatever you watch online. I just watch shitty videos all day long. And they're going to sell it to us because they can stream 10 times faster. They can... I just don't know. We'll take a clip. We'll look at a clip here. I'm getting wound up. I apologize to everyone out there. When I get wound up, I miss my... I skip words here. All right. So here we go. Let's check this out.
Every new generation of wireless networks delivers faster speeds and more functionality to our smartphones. 1G brought us the very first cell phones. 2G let us text for the first time, 3G brought us online, and 4G delivered the speeds that we enjoy today. But as more users come online, 4G networks have just about reached the limit of what they're capable of at a time when users want even more data for their smartphones and devices. Now we're headed toward 5G, the next generation of wireless. It will be able to handle 1,000 times more traffic than today's networks, and it'll be up to 10 times faster than 4G LTE. Just imagine downloading an HD movie in under a second, and then let your imagination run wild. 5G will be the foundation for virtual reality, autonomous driving, the Internet of Things, and stuff we can't even yet imagine. But what exactly is a 5G network? The truth is, experts can't tell us what 5G actually is, because they don't even know yet. But right now, there are 5 brand new technologies emerging as the foundation of 5G. Millimeter waves, small cells, massive MIMO, beamforming, and full duplex. First up, technology number 1, millimeter waves. Your smartphone and other electronic devices in your home use very specific frequencies on the radio frequency spectrum, typically those under 6 gigahertz. But these frequencies are starting to get more crowded. Carriers can only squeeze so many bits of data on the same amount of radio frequency spectrum. As more devices come online, we're going to start to see slower service and more dropped connections. The solution is to open up some new real estate. So researchers are experimenting with broadcasting on shorter millimeter waves, those that fall between 30 and 300 gigahertz. This section of spectrum has never been used before for mobile devices, and opening it up means more bandwidth for everyone. But there is a catch. Millimeter waves can't travel well through buildings or other obstacles, and they tend to be absorbed by plants and rain. To get around this problem, we'll need technology number 2, small cell networks. Today's wireless networks rely on large, high-powered cell towers to broadcast their signals over long distances. But remember, higher frequency millimeter waves have a harder time traveling through obstacles, which means if you move behind one, you lose your signal. Small cell networks would solve that problem, using thousands of low-power mini base stations. These base stations would be much closer together than traditional towers, forming a sort of relay team to transmit signals around obstacles. This would be especially useful in cities. As the user moved behind an obstacle, his smartphone would automatically switch to a new base station in better range of his device, allowing him to keep his connection. Next up, technology number 3, massive MIMO. MIMO stands for multiple input, multiple output. Today's 4G base stations have about a dozen ports for antennas that handle all cellular traffic. But massive MIMO base stations can support about 100 ports. This could increase the capacity of today's networks by a factor of 22 or more. Of course, massive MIMO comes with its own complications. Today's cellular antennas broadcast information in every direction at once, and all of those crossing signals could cause serious interference. Which brings us to technology number 4, beamforming. Beamforming is like a traffic signaling system for cellular signals. Instead of broadcasting in every direction, it would allow a base station to send a focused stream of data to a specific user. This precision prevents interference, and it's way more efficient. That means stations could handle more incoming and outgoing data streams at once. Here's how it works. Say you're in a cluster of buildings and you're trying to make a phone call. Your signal is ricocheting off of surrounding buildings and crisscrossing with other signals from users in the area. A massive MIMO base station receives all of these signals and keeps track of the timing and the direction of their arrival. It then uses signal processing algorithms to triangulate exactly where each signal is coming from and plots the best transmission route back through the air to each phone. Sometimes it'll even bounce individual packets of data in different directions, off of buildings or other objects, to keep signals from interfering with each other. The result is a coherent data stream sent only to you. Which brings us to technology number 5, full duplex. If you've ever used a walkie-talkie, you know that in order to communicate, you have to take turns talking and listening. That's kind of a drag. Today's cellular base stations have that exact same holdup. A basic antenna can only do one job at a time, either transmit or receive. This is because of a principle called reciprocity, which is the tendency for radio waves to travel both forward and backward along the same frequency. To understand this, it helps to think of a wave like a train loaded up with data. The frequency it's traveling on is like the train track. And if there's a second train trying to go in the opposite direction on the same track, you're going to get some interference. Up until now, the solution has been to have the trains take turns, or to put all the trains on different tracks or frequencies. But you can make things a lot more efficient by working around reciprocity. Researchers have used silicon transistors to create high-speed switches that halt the backward roll of these waves. It's kind of like a signaling system that can momentarily reroute two trains so that they can get past each other. That means there's a lot more getting done on each track a whole lot faster. We're still working out many of the kinks with millimeter waves, small cell networks, massive MIMO, beamforming, and full duplex. In fact, all of 5G is still a work in progress. It will likely include other new technologies too, and making all of these systems work together will be a whole other challenge. But if experts can figure that out,
getting them to work together is going to be a whole nother challenge. Just to get them to work together is going to be the challenge. How much safety do you think has been implemented into these?
obstacles, which means if you move behind one, you lose your signal. Small cell networks would solve that problem using thousands of low-power mini base stations. These base stations would be
mini base stations, just one right on top of everyone's house. We're just going to put one on your roof, so it's just emitting waves all over you and your family, just bathing you in radiation all day long. All day. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely
closer together
crazy.
Than traditional towers.
So they're gonna so what we know about regular cell towers and the fact that they're dangerous, and we have proof that people don't want them around them, and they get their way. If they don't want these cell towers near them because they know they're dangerous, they get their way. Now here we go, and they're gonna sell us the next phase, which is having a 5G, which is even more dangerous.
Over long distances. But remember, higher frequency millimeter waves have a harder time traveling through obstacles, which means if you move behind one, you lose your signal. Small cell networks would solve that problem using thousands of low-power mini base stations. These base stations would be much closer together than traditional towers, forming a sort of relay team to transmit signals around obstacles. This would be especially useful in cities. As a user moved behind an obstacle, his smartphone would automatically switch to a new base station in better range of his device, allowing him to keep his connection. Next up,
I don't know. It's just crazy. They need one. So the better technology means I have to have more antennas. And these antennas are what? Not cheap, right? So we're going to have 1 million of these antennas. My Verizon's already through the roof. It's going to be like $800 a month because I have to pay for all these antennas. I have to pay to give myself radiation. Just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's see here. All right, we're going to take a look here. This is from electronicsense.com. Whether you like it or not, we're moving rapidly into the world of 5G. Why? Because we have to. Because they'll sell it to us. All right, the dangers of 5G. Thousands of studies link low-level wireless radio frequency radiation exposures to a long list of adverse biological effects. Okay? This is crazy. I'm going to read this again. We just saw actual clips of firefighters saying they don't want regular cell towers on their stations because the prolonged exposure was creating symptoms of radiation. Now, 5G's coming out 10 times faster, 10 times more radiation probably, 10 times the more sickness, right? And here we have thousands of studies link low-level wireless radio frequency radiation exposure to a long list of adverse biological effects. Biological effects. All right, including DNA single and double strand breaks. It's worth it. If I can have YouTube on the road, I will take DNA single and double strand breaks. Sounds good. Oxidative damage. Ooh, sign me up. Disruption of cell metabolism? Yes, please. Increased blood-brain barrier permeability. I have been waiting for that. Melatonin reduction? I didn't want to sleep anyways. Disruption to brain glucose metabolism? Who needs to think? My brain only runs on glucose. Generation of stress proteins. Great. I'm already not stressed from bills, work, life, cars, chemtrails, it's crazy. I just want some more stress proteins. Am I buffering? Is it buffering bad? It shouldn't be. Let me check here. I apologize, everyone, if it's buffering out there. Let me check my stream health. It'll be good until I start talking about something and I get hammered. All right, it should be good. All right, so again, we just saw clips of firefighters in California halting construction of new cell towers. The definitive line between us and them. They know that these towers are bad. They said something, production halts where they're at. We say something, nothing happens. Quiet. Do what you're told. Oh, yeah, exactly. No buffering, Sean. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be great. 5G is going to be awesome. But when you sign up for your 5G, you also sign up for DNA single and double strand breaks. Oxidative damage, disruption of cellular metabolism, increased blood-brain barrier permeability. That sounds like a good one. Melatonin reduction, disruption to brain glucose metabolism, generation of stress proteins. These are all things that I really don't want in my life at all. It's literally crazy. So here you have it. They want thousands of these little towers all around you so that you get uninterrupted service all the time. 10 times the speeds of 4G, 10 times the radiation, 10 times the increased blood-brain barrier permeability, 10 times the oxidative damage, 10 times the DNA and single double strand breaks. That sounds like a great one. That sounds really good. It's crazy. Yeah, exactly. Time to weigh options. Something's going on. And here, Sean, I'll show you something. Okay.
At 5, construction on the giant cell towers needed to make Los Angeles County's emergency communication system work have been halted until radiation concerns are addressed. The county says the radiation would be no worse than what's given off by cordless phones. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda is live in Altadena with both sides of the story. Carlos?
Well, behind me, you can see one of the new towers. It's located at the Altadena Sheriff Station, and it's right next to Fire Station 11. But firefighters and residents say this was pushed through without public input, and they worry about their health, and they worry about radiation. Dozens of firefighters came to the Board of Supervisors to let them know they don't want cell towers where they work.
The proximity of the towers and people living next to the towers is of grave concern, but it's a very complex issue as to how those radio waves affect people all the way up to 3 miles away.
The towers are going up at fire stations and sheriff stations, part of a new high-tech communication system to help first responders talk with each other. It's being planned by LA RICS, the Los Angeles Regional Interoperable Communication System.
We are looking at 177 sites.
177 sites, just of those towers, and they emit signals up to 3 miles away. And then on top of that, they want to put 5G antennas, which can't emit signals that far away, so they need them closer in clusters. And they want to put thousands of them in neighborhoods, in parking lots, in child's parks, in schools, at the mall. They want to literally put one in your bathroom. Like, it's insane. They want to bathe you in these radio waves. And on top of it, if you notice in the 5G informational video I played, it said a lot of the 5G microwaves, they're really short waves but high frequency, are absorbed by plants. What effects are these going to do to the plants? What's going to happen to the trees and leaves? What's going to happen to the bushes, the grass? What's going to happen to the wildlife, the birds, all this stuff? When it's scientifically known, these waves are absorbed by plants. And if these waves have these effects on us, right here, let me grab it, sorry. If 5G does this to humans, DNA single and double strand breaks, oxidative damage, disruption of cellular metabolism, that's like how we run. Increased blood-brain barrier permeability, melatonin reduction, generation of stress proteins. All this stuff is going to happen with living cells in our body from these frequencies. What is going to happen to plant life, which also literally absorb these? Is our food okay? Is it going to do something to the water? I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy talk. But again, I can't stress. Don't worry, I'm the government. Everything's good, just go to sleep. Watch your TV shows. Get some fast food. I'm the government, just go to sleep. Everything's okay. Don't worry about the tower emitting radiation. Don't worry about the 10 towers that are going to be going up on your street. Don't worry about your kids' health. Just go back to sleep. Everything's fine. We're the government. See? So don't worry, everybody. Just go back to sleep. You got your little radio waves I just pumped out into the air. Just go back to sleep. The government has it under control. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I just can't. Okay. Most recently, the $25 million National Toxicology Program concluded that radio frequency radiation of the type currently used by cell phones can cause cancer. It's going to. Absolutely insane. Effects on the skin. The biggest concern to how these new wave lengths affect the skin. The human body has between 2 million and 4 million sweat ducts. Our sweat ducts act like little helical antennas when exposed to these wavelengths, meaning that we become more conductive. Wow. Whoa. All right, I'm sorry. I got to read this over. I apologize for the unprofessionalism there. I overwhelm myself with excitement when I see stuff like this. This is a pretty cool statement. Let me read this again. Effects on the skin. The biggest concern is how these new wavelengths will affect the skin. The human body has between 2 million and 4 million sweat ducts. Dr. Ben Ishia of Hebrew University, Israel, explains that our sweat ducts act like an array of helical antennas when exposed to these wavelengths, meaning that we become more conductive. A recent New York study which experimented with 60 gigahertz waves stated that the analysis of penetration depth showed that more than 90% of transmitted power is absorbed in the epidermis and dermis layer. So not only are the plants absorbing this, we are absorbing 90% of these signals. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Ooh, effects on the eyes. I forgot that. Let's check this out. Eyes aren't important, so I don't find this to be, even though I'm using my eyes to read this, it's cool. I like 5G. I want my eyes. It's cool. Let's see here. Oh, great. A 1994, so they've known about this for a long time. This is a 1994 study found that low-level millimeter wavelength radiation produced lens opacity in rats. It basically gives you cataracts. You see cloudy. Your eyes get that white glaze. An experiment concluded by the Medical Research Institute of Kewanza Medical University found that 60 gigahertz. It's funny how a lot of medical groups outside the U.S., who America would just make fun of, even though they're medical groups, are the only ones talking about this, even though the American medical groups absolutely know this is going on. You have other countries doing these studies and releasing them. So here you have it. They found that 60 gigahertz millimeter wave antennas can cause thermal injuries by varying types of levels. The thermal effects induced by millimeter waves can apparently penetrate below the surface of the eye. Wow. A 2003 Chinese study has found that damage to the lens epithelial cells of rabbits after 8 hours of exposure to microwave radiation. Wow, 8 hours. Good thing my phone's on 24/7, and it's going to be getting 24/7 5G pretty soon. This is great. I'm going to keep reading these effects that the 5G has on the human body. Okay? We're on effects of the heart now. And again, notice the dates of these studies. Scientists are smart. We use technology all the time. Circuit boards, everything. These people are smart. They're just suppressing the information. They know. Because if they tell them what's going on, they lose their paycheck. So here we go. A 1992 Russian study found that frequencies in the range of 53 to 78 gigahertz, that which 5G proposed to use, impact the heart rate variability, an indicator of stress in rats. Another Russian study on frogs whose skin was exposed to MMWs found heart rate changed arrhythmias. It's okay. I want streaming with no buffering at the expense of my heart. Right? Immune system effects. Oh, I love being sick, so this is going to work out great because I have a feeling that it's going to hurt my immune system and I'm going to get sick more, which is what I want. A 2002 Russian study examined the effects of 42 gigahertz, gigahertz, I don't know, microwave radiation, exposure of blood on healthy mice. It was concluded that the whole body exposure of healthy mice to low intensity EHF EMR has a profound effect on indices of non-specific immunity. Absolutely insane. Exactly, Sean. Exactly. They're going to come out with a nice experiment or something showing that see, we put a tester here for an hour and it shows that you're safe. Instead of doing a tester for 10 years there to show the slow progressive change of what's happening to the body. Like, it's just crazy. And people will eat it up. They believe it. They believe it. Oh, this looks like a great one. And for anyone just tuning in, we're taking a look at the dangers of 5G. I will go over it I'll go over it again pretty quick of what it is in a minute. But right now we're just taking a look at the dangers of it. And then you'll see how the implementation of these antennas is going to bathe you all day. You're just going to be basking in the greatness of these waves that are really hurting you, okay? All at the expense of, you know, having YouTube non-buffering, okay? But they went to the moon in 1969. All right, here we go. Effects on cell growth rates. So what does 5G do to the effects of cell growth? A 2006 American study observed MMWs at low intensity, mirroring the future environment brought by 5G. The study conducted on E. coli and other bacteria stated that the waves had depressed their growth as well as changing properties and activities of cells. The concern is that it would do the same to human cells. There you have it. 2016 American study. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. Armenian study, because we know that America would never let this information out because they lie to us because they want to hurt us and make money at the same time. But I'm wrong for saying that. And 5G's good. Oh, here we go. Here's what I've been looking for. The effects on plant health. One of the features of 5G is that the MMW is particularly susceptible to being absorbed by plants and rain. So the water, it is going to affect the water. It literally is going to affect the water. I knew it. All right, I got to read this again. One of the features of 5G is that the MMW is particularly susceptible to being absorbed by plants and rain. Humans and animals alike consume plants as a food source. The effects MMW has on plants could leave us with food that's not safe to consume. Think GMOs on steroid. Water that falls from the skies onto these plants will also be irradiated. A 2010 study on aspen seedlings showed that the exposure to radio frequencies led to the leaves showing necrosis symptoms. Can you believe this? Yeah, exactly, Sean. No, here, check this out. See, the thing with 5G is they're very short waves, so they can't penetrate through walls very well. So they have to use a lot, like thick foliage, buildings and stuff will block 5G. So their workaround of it is to put these towers up everywhere. So if you go around a corner, there's another tower there. If you go over here, there's a tower there. So you always have line of sight of 5G. And what I don't like about 5G is they can actually directly to your phone the wavelengths. So if instead of sending a wave in a 360-degree pattern, they literally direct the energy or the wavelength to your phone, or to you. Just move it to the left or right to my brain while I'm sleeping the whole time. But the problem is it has a hard time going through walls. So I think you're, unless it's outside, I think you're weed safe. The effects on the atmosphere and depletion of fossil fuels. I'm not reading that one. I don't even want to get into fossil fuels. That's for another show. Disruption of natural ecosystem. I was just talking about that. The birds, chipmunks, squirrels, bobcats. What's going to happen out there? Here we go. Since the year 2000, there have been reports that birds abandoning their nest as well as health issues alike. Bird species that are affected by low levels non-ionizing microwave radiation are house sparrows, rock doves, white storks. It's not the bird. Bee population seems to be affected by them. Yep, this is crazy. Most 5G studies misleading. It's crazy. I can't. I gotta put my glasses down. I can't even. And it's not. I'm not mad that people can't do anything about this. People don't want these in their neighborhoods. People know that these are safe. What I'm upset is that they accept the fact that even though they're upset, the government won't do anything about it. And they still believe in their government. No, the government likes me. Nope, they like me. Well, then how come they will stop the production of these cell towers on the firefighters and police stations and not your neighborhood where your kids live? Well, that's because they love me. But they're still hurting you. Well, they love me. But we need to stop the production of them on the firefighters and police because it has radiation that's hurting them. But they can keep the ones in my neighborhood because they love me. The government tucks me in every night. That's what is upsetting to me. People know they're bad. And I'm not saying people can go out there and just stop them. You go ahead and stop a construction of one of these towers, you'll end up in jail for the night. You know what I mean? What I am upset with is they're not upset with the government for allowing this. They still believe in their government. They still believe that they're in control. When you're not in control, you didn't control anything. Oh, cool. How to protect yourself from 5G. And if anyone's out there listening or in the chat, there are some links going out here. We have Empress Yulu. Here's a vid on blocking EMS from smart meters. Here's a video. Another video on blocking EMS from your body. So if anybody's looking how to block these, if anybody needs information on where to start on how to block these, because this is coming. This isn't stopping. Maybe we can follow what California's doing. They are admitting to these firefighters and police that these are bad, and they are stopping the construction of these towers in these areas. Maybe, just maybe, we can get on this bandwagon. We can use their movement to stop it for them, to stop it for everybody, or slow it down. Because they are going to push to have these towers everywhere. And people will just continue. Well, they need them so that they can, save us and tuck me in tonight. Even though I know that it does all this stuff to my skin, to the ecosystem, to the water, which is now going to be irradiated, to the plants, which are going to be irradiated because they sucked up the water that was irradiated. Cell growth rates. Effects on the heart. This is because the government loves you, everybody. They love you. Effects on the eyes. Effects on the skin. You see, it'll be affecting your skin, so you'll just be encompassed by the government's love for you all the time. Because 90% of the power that's transmitted from these will be absorbed in your epidermis. So you'll just be encompassed. It's like being hugged from the government all the time. You're just hugged in death. It's just crazy. People need to wake up. I'm playing it again. Put the glasses on, people. You're not allowed to think. Spend your money. There it is. It's all propaganda. Mind control. Don't think. Do what you're told in these magazines. These are the official stories. Just go back to sleep. We've got it under control. See, don't question us. Just accept the regular narrative. We lost the jet, but could find someone because they used a cell phone. Absolutely crazy. I like this part. I'm gonna go ahead and pause it on here. Get it to it. There's the cash. Even though everyone can take $1 out, flip it over, and see a creepy freaking pyramid with a creepy eye above it, and they're still like, no, that's normal. That's fine. It's creepy. And you need to wake up to what's going on. There you go. You're a slave to money. These people are perched on us from birth till death. They're our owners. We buy their gas, we buy their electricity, we buy their water, we buy their cars, and then we submit to having it poisoned on top of us. So not only are we paying for all this stuff, we're paying to be murdered. You're paying for your own death. And you love the people that are doing it. I just can't believe it. I'm gonna check out the chat here. Let's see if anything's going on. Exactly. We have people to protect. I mean, if we can jump on this trend that's going on in California to expose, and here's proof. They are stopping the production or the construction of these towers in these areas because they're unsafe. They're admitting that they're unsafe. We kind of have them. The admission that they're unsafe, so they're stopping them because they are. We just have to explain, or have them explain, why it's okay for them to put these towers near schools, near parks, malls, stations, all types, train station, police station, fire station, stuff like that. It's just crazy. I don't know.
Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated. They are dismantling the sleeping middle class. More and more people are becoming poor. We are their cattle. We are being bred for slavery.
And there you have it. Spoken perfectly from a movie from the 80s. That's 100% what's happening right now. People are lulled to sleep. TV. I'm not saying TV's bad. I'm not saying, but certain programs are programming. I watch TV, but my TV is connected to my laptop. So technically I'm watching whatever I'm online. You know what I mean? Magazines, just like we saw in that clip. You're programmed not to think. I don't have to think. The magazine or the news is going to tell me the official story. And they would never lie. The news would never, ever, ever lie. Even though I know the news lied about Saddam Hussein having weapons of mass destruction. So we invaded them, killed 1.5 million Iraqis looking for yellow cake, which we never found. But the news would never lie, even though they just lied about Iraq having weapons of mass destruction. They also lied about the Iraqi soldiers removing babies from the incubators and stepping on them, later admitting that that was a false, they lied. But the news would never lie. So these people are like literally lulled to sleep. And it took me a couple, I don't know. It just took, I don't want to talk about my experiences of like figuring this stuff out. But like Nicholas says, the news is script. Just type in on YouTube the news is script. They'll just play the same script on every news station. They take clips. It's absolutely every morning. The heads of these news agencies get the script and then they hand it out. It's all the same. It's absolutely all the same. And let's see, the magnet blankets. Yeah, yeah, exactly. What's funny is I always ask my dentist. My dentist is my friend. And when I get my x-rays, they put this big lead like blanket on me to protect everything else. But what about my face and my head where my brain is, that the radiation's being directly driven into? They protect, everything else. It's just funny. I find it funny. Yeah. Let's see here. This is another clip from from They Live. Let's take a look here.
Live in. Carbon dioxide, fluorocarbons, and methane have increased since 1958.
Oh, man.
Live in. Carbon dioxide, fluorocarbons, and methane have increased since 1958. Earth is being acclimatized. They are turning our atmosphere into their atmosphere.
What do these things want, and why are they here?
That's an interesting statement right there. I'm going to play that again. Is this what chemtrails are?
Live in. Carbon dioxide, fluorocarbons, and methane have increased since 1958. Earth is being acclimatized. They are turning our atmosphere into their atmosphere.
That's very interesting. I'll play it one more time for everybody. Again, this is just a clip from the movie They Live. It's from the 80s, from my childhood, the good old days, when you didn't have a care in the world. It wasn't until later I figured out what the movie's about. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. But again, this is just a clip.
Live in. Carbon dioxide, fluorocarbons, and methane have increased since 1958. Earth is being acclimatized. They are turning our atmosphere into their atmosphere.
What do these things want, and why are they here?
It's in their best interests. They're free enterprisers.
Live in.
It's in our best interest, he says. That's pretty interesting. It's in our best interest. Just absolutely crazy. Is that what they're talking about chemtrails are? Yep, puppets. They're just puppets. Talk about your experience. Let's see. I don't know. What really did it for me was... Let me get something on the screen so we have it going. I'll play it in the background. I'm just going to queue up the next video. What did it for me was 9/11. It was very impactful. I remember where I was. I was in my physics class. My teacher was a NASA rocket scientist. That's like, he really worked for NASA. He was really cool. I learned a lot. And we got to watch, we had TVs in every room in our school, and we got to watch it live. And within hours, they had the official story of what happened. They had this official story that 12 people hijacked planes, 3 planes. 2 flew into the towers, 1 flew into the... I'm sorry, they hijacked 4 planes. 1 flew into the Pentagon, 1 crashed in Virginia, I believe, and 2 hit the towers. 4 planes hijacked by 12 people. They had their passports. They had the video footage. They had the timeline. They knew that it was all orchestrated. So the most massive hijacking plan ever conducted was orchestrated by a guy 6,000 miles away in a cave using an old T9 cell phone. And they had this story within hours. And that was the beginning of me questioning things. Not so much that I was like, no, that story's fake, but like, wait, how'd they get that so quick? How'd they know that? And then you have CNN. Okay, right. So now you have the CIA looking for... the CIA is like... They're the top people. They have access to everything. They have so many assets, it's crazy. So you have the CIA looking for Osama, right? And then that night on CNN, they have literally reporters in the cave getting a interview with Osama, with CNN on the bottom logo. So you're telling me an alphabet agency with endless assets and resources can't find a guy, but CNN's doing a live interview? Like, come on. Like, come on. That was literally the switch that flipped for me when I started questioning everything. And then all I did was start questioning everything, using reasoning, researching. I've been wrong on a lot of stuff. I would love to be wrong about all this. I would love to be wrong about they're spraying chemicals in the air. I would love to be wrong about fluoride being bad for you. I would love to be wrong about 5G hurting you. I would love to be wrong about the government taking these aircraft and crashing them. I would love to be wrong about any of this stuff. I would gladly be wrong because people are safe. Whew, good, all right. It's really not. They're not really hurting us. It's okay. But guess what? I'm not wrong. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let me check the chat here because I'll get going on a tangent and just keep going. What about China? They lost signal, then found it again. Oh my god. Thank you for bringing that up. Are you talking about the space station? The China Tiangong 1 that crashed? Finally, yeah, I saw a channel, but this... Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Before I show the next clip, I just want to do a recap of the show real quick and then decide what's going to continue. So the other day, I came back from a long sabbatical doing the What Was That channel, and what I thought was going to be a great stream, which it was. It was a fun stream. I enjoyed everybody. Turned out to be a very quick stream. I had many different tracking softwares going. I had tons of different articles giving the plus or minus or whatever. Anyways, and what happened was during my tracking, it was still at 130 kilometers. And they said the light show wasn't going to happen until it got to like 40 miles. And so I cut the stream. It was still high. It wasn't even lowering. It's still cranking, right? I cut the stream. And not 40 minutes later, I get word that it crashed. It landed. It already hit the ocean or whatever. So I went back to all my satellite tracking stuff. Or debris, whatever you want to call it. Satellites, yeah. And it still showed that it was in the air flying. 7 kilometers a second, 128 kilometers in the air. So I checked a couple other ones. Same thing. Still in the air, but I'm getting reports that it's already down. So I find another one that has reported that it was down. And it also was reporting that it's maybe possible that the satellite tracking softwares are still showing it in the air. So what were those what were they tracking that was still showing it in the air? I was just very upset that all this advanced technology couldn't predict when it was going to crash. And I literally even said it in the show. I literally played a clip of the 1979 atmospheric reentry of the Skylab. And I played the clip of the mathematicians who manually crunched the numbers, and they were surprised that the reentry was a different time and at a different location. You have mathematicians that I believe can do excellent math. I 100% believe those guys calculated an object, whatever they were given, to land in that, and they were 100% correct, but they were lied to, or just like we watched in Die Hard 2, stuff was changed and it was overshot, and it was totally different, just like Tiangong 1 being completely different than what the math was supposed to say. And it was. I literally predicted that. I said it was going to do it, and I said it was fishy that Skylab itself, the mathematicians were wrong about the calculations, and they were surprised. And I said I would believe the mathematicians over what these people are saying. And I believe they're just cover-ups for other stuff entering the atmosphere or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, exactly, Sean. People are like, oh, you're crazy. I'm like, I would love to be wrong about all this. I would love to be wrong. But guess what? The evidence just keeps piling up. Daily, we're being provided information about all this stuff that's coming to light. WikiLeaks last year leaked how the CIA assassinates people using the Wi-Fi in the cars, because most new cars have electronic steering. They don't use power steering pumps anymore. It's an electronic motor. And all cars are Wi-Fi. And no cars have, the shifters aren't cables to the transmission anymore. It's all like relays and like all this stuff now. So they can control that. All this stuff. I wish it wasn't true, but it's literally true. You can just go on YouTube and watch a hacker control a GM like Envoy and like drive it around a parking lot from the passenger seat. But yet people will literally disavow, completely ignore, and just get their security government blanket and wrap up in it. And just deny the fact that this stuff goes on. It's why they implement it. Control. It's absolutely crazy. And I'm sorry if I'm just babbling on. And I just want to end with this this clip here. Or not end, just start wrapping up the show. Let's check this out. This is again from CNN talking about the Boeing uninterruptible autopilot. It's pretty crazy.
We're learning new details about technology which could prevent another plane from suffering the same mysterious fate that Flight 370 suffered from. Our Brian Todd is here. His team is uncovering some documentation on this new cutting-edge program. Brian, what are you learning?
Wolf, we found documents for a patent that Boeing applied for 10 years ago. It's for a system that could enable a plane to be flown by remote control from the ground in an emergency. The system hasn't been deployed. One of our experts says if it had, this Malaysia Airlines incident may well have turned out very differently. A lost signal, a vanished plane, and on the ground, a feeling of complete helplessness. But an idea has circulated to put autopilot on passenger planes on remote control in stressful situations. In 2004, Boeing applied for a patent for a system referred to as uninterruptible autopilot.
The ground controller could now take control away from the pilots so that they wouldn't have control over the throttles, over the yoke, over the rudder pedals, and now this would be handled by the ground. So everything now that the pilots would try to do would be inconsequential.
With this idea, pilots could flick a switch when under stress. Sensors in the cockpit could go off. Or sensors on the cockpit door could activate the ground autopilot if a certain amount of force was used against the cockpit door. Then ground operators could take control of the plane using radio or satellite signals and steer it to a predetermined airport. They'd be flying it almost like a drone. If Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was hijacked, or if a member of the crew purposely did something to alter the path, could this have saved that plane?
If, in fact, they determined that it was a problem, and they try to get in touch with the pilot and the co-pilot and they couldn't, then if that system were in place, it seems as though the ground controller could then have landed this aircraft.
Right now, autopilot systems are manually switched on and off only at the...
How could they ground it? How could they control that plane when the official story is they lost communication to it? How are you going to control the plane using communication in which the plane had lost? This is where I say I find something fishy about this story. And knowing technology, and knowing what these people have and what their resources, I call BS on stuff like this. And then you have Boeing trying to cover, or not cover up, they just don't want to talk about this patent. Oh, it doesn't exist because now it sheds light on a lot of these aircraft crashes. Air travel's safe. Air travel's safe. And they were saying 70% of plane crashes are because they want to take someone out. Whether they crash them, they shoot a missile at them, or any of that stuff. So 7 out of 10 aircraft accidents are purpose. They're taken out. Absolutely crazy.
Discretion of the pilots in the air, and autopilot cannot land or take off. But this potential solution could also present a new problem. This wouldn't necessarily be hack-proof, right?
This system wouldn't necessarily be hack-proof, and so terrorists might be able to get into this data stream and force the plane to land or do whatever they wanted it to do.
Okay, so terrorists may be able to hack this, and that's code for now we can just do whatever we want and blame it on whoever we want. So if we want to invade whoever, I can crash this plane and say that you hijacked it. And then I can have a little movie made in my movie studio because everyone believes movies. I mean, look at NASA. And then everyone will believe it because it's on TV, because CNN doesn't lie, even though we have footage of them lying. There you have it. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy.
Has Boeing advanced this idea from 10 years ago? Is the company still testing it out, or has it scrapped the idea entirely? We tried multiple times to get information from Boeing on this project. The company would not speak to us about it.
So basically, the technology would convert an airliner into a remotely piloted vehicle, like a drone.
Absolutely, it would. It would be flown like a drone by remote control from the ground, and they say they could even land this plane and...
They say they could land this plane. That you know for sure that they have tested this massively. In fact, just watching plane crash test videos, I have watched them remote control 757s from another plane and crash them into the desert. So there's absolutely no way that I would believe that they are just still testing this. They have this fully functional. They can land that plane, they can take it off, they can fly it wherever, all from the ground. You know why I know that? Because drones, the military drones. They can do all that stuff with a drone. And all a jet is just a larger drone. It's got the same engines as the regular jet, has the same fuel, everything's the same, except the pilot is on the ground. So it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. So there we have it. That's my news for the day. Yellowstone Panic. It's fake. It's always just a cover of what's going on. Yeah, I don't let's see. Just go and do this.
Sleep.
Just don't worry, everybody. Don't worry. The government's here to protect you. We'll never let anything happen to you outside of 5G poisoning you, fluoride, GMOs, chemtrails, you know, EMFs, all that other stuff, power lines. Don't worry, we love you. Just go back to bed. Go back to bed. We're the government. It's absolutely crazy. I'm just going to check the chat. I want to thank everyone that's out there. Yep. Sean, I believe the drones are cloud seeding, and I believe they're much smaller planes and they're very close. That's why you see the shadow of the chemtrails on the clouds above. I believe those planes that are doing the chemtrails are very low, but they're very small. So it gives you the perspective that they're very high in the air, but they're not. Taking over very soon. Drones will, yeah, absolutely. 100%. I have a personal friend that does all types of stuff. Anyways, 15, we all know high altitude aircraft exist. And then they have cameras on them, they fly them over stuff. Alright? All they do is put super sensitive technology, cameras in these tips of these drones or high altitude aircraft. It would take, with the new cameras, they could cover the entire United States with camera, like live footage, track you and stuff, with 15 high altitude aircraft with these cameras on them. Because the cameras are so sensitive, they can do like, I don't even know what the mileage is, like 20 miles, right? I don't know what it is. And just flying, have reconnaissance 24/7 with 15 aircraft. Yep. It's just crazy. But I do want to thank everyone for tuning in out there. I didn't have a massive amount of information. I'm just trying a couple new things, keeping it low-key with just a couple topics. We kept it on 3 topics today. We were talking about Boeing's uninterrupted autopilot. We talked about Yellowstone forever potentially erupting. Since I started the What Was That channel, I've been covering Yellowstone. I stopped for a little while because it was supposed to erupt like last year, and it didn't. And just more fear porn with it lately. And then finally we covered 5G and the health effects. The adverse health effects. And my point of all this is there's a definitive line between us and them. We can clearly see that they will halt production. They will halt production of these cell towers around the firefighters and police stations. Why? Because they have say, because they're higher than us. They're just how it works on the society scale. They're one up from us. They're in the club. So if enough of them get together and say that these are bad, they stop it because they are bad. And I want people to understand there's a definitive line between us and them, and here it is. Here's the evidence that I'm proposing that shows we are nothing to them. Right here. They will treat others different than us, even though we have literally data showing the potential risks, the risks, I'm not going to say potential, the risks of these antennas in our towns, in our yards, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, everywhere. And they continue to force placement of these towers. But yet, for these people, they'll stop because they're unsafe. And we accept that. Okay, it's okay. All right, we'll stop it for them. They'll be safe. Well, what about your family? What about your kids? What about your garden? What about your food? What about the rainwater? Oh, what was that? You're crazy. The water? It's going to affect the water? Yeah, it is. Right here. Right here. But we're okay saying it's okay for some other people not to have it because it's safe for them. We don't want them to have it. But it's okay for us. And we accept that the government won't do anything for us. And that's my problem. People need to wake up and understand when the government says no, that it's kind of a bad thing. No, we're putting these up. Whoa. Like, we know they're bad, and you stopped putting them over there because they said they were bad, and now we're going to get them. Like, it's just crazy to me. I don't know. I don't know. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Sean G, I appreciate the participation out there. Empress Yulu. Newly Wrenched, dropping links in there. I appreciate all that stuff. And anyone wants to go back, it's a lot of the plane crash links. We have links for the EMFs protection from your body and your house. Just a wealth of information. I appreciate everyone for joining in today. I just want to make sure everything's good. Yeah, looks like we covered everything. But again, if you're watching this in the future, I appreciate it. If you're watching it now, I really appreciate it. If you're tuning in out there. This is the What Was That channel, and it's been another great stream. Thanks, everyone.